My next guest is a certified relationship and transformational coach, spiritual mentor, speaker, and podcast host. Please welcome Yasmin Elzomor. Welcome to the Powerful Female Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Anna Patricia Bourgeois, certified business coach. I am here to help you up-level, generate consistent wealth, increase your confidence, attract dream clients, and master your mindset so that you can fully own your power and achieve next-level results in your online business and beyond. Every week, a powerful conversation will take place with amazing guests, or I'll share from my experience to help inspire you to start and scale the business of your dreams while being powerfully you. The time has come to stop playing small, stop hiding, and stop waiting. Now is the perfect time for you to passionately pursue your heart's desire as the powerful leader you were born to be. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Female Leaders Podcast. I am here today with the amazing Yasmin. Hey, girl.
Hey, Malone. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited.
Me too. It's been like, wow, we made it. We're here.
Yes. We are determined.
Yeah,
that goes to show. We've been trying to hop onto this recording and we did it.
Yeah, finally. I'm so excited to chat with you. I know that you are a certified relationship and transformational coach, spiritual mentor, speaker. Like, you do a lot of different things.
Yes.
So feel free to take us on this journey with you. Like, how did you start? Like tell us, what's your story?
Of course. Oh my goodness. This question's always like, where do I even begin? It all started when I was born.
Yeah.
But no, seriously. I had a spontaneous spiritual awakening when I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a place in my life where I was very confused about my purpose, about what I wanted out of life. And at the time, I was also in a very unhealthy relationship. So that did not help,
Mm-hmm.
being like my whole life kind of felt like it was coming up for reevaluation. And at 21, I really just wanted to have fun, go out with friends and not really focus on this. That was not my goal. But, I realized that I had to come face to face with certain decisions. And, after I kind of spiraled into, a dark night of the soul, it was so shattering. It was just from one moment to the next, my whole inner world imploded. And I knew that, I had to make changes. It was so painful to turn away and to pretend that those things or those issues weren't existing in my life. So, I started to kind of do a lot of reflecting. I started focusing a lot on my health. I wasn't really taking care of myself. I was working 3 jobs, making a lot of money at the time, but just not happy with my purpose and what I was doing. And, I was like, no, this can't continue. I'm burning myself out. I'm unhealthy. Mentally, I'm feeling really depressed, really anxious. I'm not in a relationship that I feel fully seen or supported. And, everything felt so complicated and so restricted. And I wanted more freedom.
Mm-hmm.
So on the search for that freedom, I started to really go inward and spiritually, I started to awaken certain parts of myself. I started to do a lot of shadow work. And as I began growing, naturally, everything that was not meant to be in my life started to fall away. So as necessary as that was, of course, it was extremely painful, because that's the issue with transformation is we know we have to transform certain areas of our life, but it's so hard to let go of the things that we're so comfortable with and the things that we know to be true to our heart, and even if we might be comfortably miserable, we still prefer that over changing.
Yeah.
Because it's scary, right? The unknown is very scary. And I know that every single human can agree with that. I think human beings are so interesting because the nature of life is to change, yet we struggle with that.
Yes.
So it's funny, right? We'll totally get into that. but yeah, it just, I realized that I was growing, I was expanding, I was changing. And with that, my friendships started to fall away that weren't, resonating with me anymore. I started to figure out what I really wanted to do. I wanted to be of service to other people. And I didn't know what that looked like yet, but I knew that I wanted to be of service and support others. And I started to realize that the relationship I was in was no longer suiting what I needed and what I wanted. And that started to really crumble. It started to become so painfully clear to me that the person that was in my life was not the one for me. And I knew that I had to let go. But it was so hard to detach. But we were together for 4 years, and eventually it had to happen. Like everything kind of got to a place where this can no longer continue. Like, we're both holding each other back. No one's growing. We're both stagnant, and no one's getting anything out of this. You know what I mean? Like, this contract has come to an end, and we have to accept that, right? Like, that's the way I see it. And we ended up breaking up. And that was really my catalyst to becoming a relationship coach. That's when I realized, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to serve. And it was nice to know that I wanted to serve. I just was trying to figure out what exactly. And so this became the theme. It was at the forefront of my life. And so I started to really get into that. I started to take courses on this and read all about relationships, and also learn from my own experience, which it's so valuable. That's where the medicine is. And that's what we bring to other people, is our, like we said before, storytelling and our own experience. Things that you can't read on Google or from a book, right? Because we can all Google what it means to be an anxious attachment style in a relationship, or any of those things, or how to set boundaries in a relationship, but you don't actually know until you experience it yourself. So I started to really learn about how to set boundaries, how to be more in my feminine energy, how to receive more, how to give more in certain areas of my life, and really learn about my own shadows and my own insecurities, and what do I bring to these relationships. Relationships are a two-way street, and we can never just blame and point the finger. We also have to be willing to take responsibility, which of course is very difficult, but it's necessary, if we want to grow and we want to have these loving, amazing relationships with the people in our life. So that was truly the start of everything. And then, since then I of course, it's an ongoing journey. You never really stop, right? We keep learning and peeling back layers, and, every single relationship and every single friendship and, interaction you have with someone teaches you something, and everyone's a mirror to you. So I'm continuing now to learn. I'm going through more transformations as I grow and as I peel back more layers of who am I? What do I want out of life? We're constantly evolving, and we need to allow ourselves that space to wiggle and to roam free when it's time, to leave a certain nest. When things no longer feel right to us or resonate with us, we need to be willing to see it from a more logical perspective and step away from the things that are holding us back from growth.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you are amazing.
You're so cute.
This is just so good. And thank you for sharing all of that. I know a lot of people listening to this right now will resonate so much.
Yeah. I mean, we're all going through so many it's crazy. I've talked to so many people in my life, and everyone's going through some sort of transformation. You know what I mean? The last 2 years have been transformative for everyone. And it's crazy how, like I said before, we the nature of life has changed, yet we don't want to face that change. And we want to hold on to things because they're comfortable and it's what we know. And, but once we see life or the unknown as an exciting, clean slate where possibilities are endless, that's when we can start to really enjoy the journey, rather than being so afraid and holding on so tightly to things that you truly don't even want. And on a deep soul level, you don't actually want it, but our egos are the ones that are oh, but this is the box that I know. And, this is where I want to stay. I don't want to go anywhere else.
So true.
You're oh my God, you're speaking to my soul.
Yeah, totally. It's we can't let our ego run the show.
Exactly. I told a friend the other day, we were talking about that, and I told her, like,
Yeah.
I see the ego as like a little puppy, you know what I mean? You have to train it. Like, it
Mhm.
literally is a little dog that wants to get its way. It's throwing little tantrums left and right, and it wants to be the center of attention. It wants to be seen. And that's cute and all, but you have to learn how to train it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you have to learn how to put it in its place and not allow it to always take like the front seat and the driver's seat and keep it in the passenger seat, you know. But
Yeah.
your soul is really the driver of this life, and so we need to allow the soul to be able to tell us which way to go, and it's always telling us
Mhm.
in many different
Yes.
ways, you know. We're just not listening, or if we are listening, we don't want to accept it.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's so deep.
Yes.
Amazing. So I love to follow you on Instagram. I think your page is amazing. And there's one post that really like spoke to me a lot, was like where you talk about like our real job is to break free from the matrix
Yes.
and to
Yes.
wake up to our own power and divinity. So how would
Mm.
you explain what the matrix is, and how do we begin to wake up to that?
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that question because I feel like people don't really know what it actually means, you know?
Mhm.
And to me, the matrix is basically the programming that we've been born into. You know,
Mm.
like we are born into the society where you have to do things a certain way. You know, you go to school, you graduate, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house. Like it's like these milestones, these like this checklist that you have to like, okay, done. I did this, I did that, I did that.
Mhm.
And then you get to a point where you're like, but wait a second, is this really what I want though? Like, or is this what
Mm.
society expects of me, you know?
Mhm.
And to me, the matrix is just a society based programming that we like, if we're not willing to question it or question the status quo or try to understand what we actually want on a soul level, then we fall into this trap. And
Mhm.
ultimately, that's not for everyone, you know. And I'm not saying
Mhm.
it's a bad thing to get married and like do all that stuff. Like that's for some people that might be their path, you know. They might be
Mhm.
really happy with that. For others, it's not. For others, it's maybe you're not meant to do that. Maybe you're meant to be a nomad and
Mm.
travel the world, you know, and not get married in this lifetime. You know what I mean? Like maybe you're not
Mhm.
meant to have kids. Maybe that's not for you. And that's
Mhm.
okay. There's no shame in that. You do whatever fits right to you.
Mhm.
Like, you know, everyone, there's no one size fits all. Everyone has different ways of seeing life, different perspectives, different boundaries. And I think that's the beauty of it, is that we all get to do things in our own way, and somehow it just
Mhm.
kind of comes together so beautifully. So
Yes.
I find that to be so special. And I think it's amazing to be able to look at someone else's journey and say, wow, it's special that you have that specific journey. And it's special that I have a different journey that might not be
Mhm.
anything like yours, but it's still beautiful in its own way.
Yes. Oh, I love this so much.
I love talking to you. You're so amazing. I knew it. I knew we would get along so well.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's so crazy we're talking about this right now, because I also had a similar conversation with a fellow coach friend who was like really worried about not having like a specific certification. And I
Mm.
was like, no girl, you don't need anything, like you're
Mm-hmm.
amazing, like you just have to
Yeah.
believe that you're worthy, and like the right
Yeah.
people will be there. And it's like the matrix of having the titles and all of that, like
Mm.
like
Yeah.
like I feel like we're so past that.
Yes. Yes, we are so past that. I feel like that's like older generations, you know what I mean? Like our parents,
Yeah,
our grandparents, we were taught that way because they were taught that way, you know? Like
yeah.
no one was willing to break the cycle until we came along. Our generation is breaking the cycle, which is amazing. We have such a beautiful job to break
Yeah.
ancestral traumas and, you know, cultural traumas too, and religious traumas. Like
Mhm.
all these things that keep us in a box of, you
Yeah.
know, really taking away our freedom and restricting who we came here to be.
Yes. Oh, so good. This podcast is all about like leadership and women in business and like
Mm.
women empowerment. So I want to have like your take on like women, like generally, like when they start a business, like how do you feel is that portrayed right now? And like how, like what would you love to see more of?
I love that question. I mean, I love seeing a woman who is so in touch with her feminine, graceful, compassionate, loving, but also just badass. You know what I mean? A woman who is able to still be strong, still be powerful, still speak her mind, still speak her truth.
Yes.
And I think there is and I literally was thinking about this the other day. There is so much misconception around the feminine and the masculine, the polarity. Because people assume that, you know, as a woman, you're supposed to be submissive and not powerful and quiet and not, you know, own a business and not do this and that. And there is no title or label to that. It's like you could still be very soft and feminine and still at the same time be very strong and powerful. You know, like it's not one or the other. To me, it's like both. You can really unite both. And it's really about how you do it and how you show up, you know? So I think there is so much around that. And what I really want to see more of is women kind of stepping into the role of being able to put the two together. And I think I'm seeing that so much more of, you know, women who are very, very strong, who speak their truth, who are not afraid of speaking up, but can do it in a way that is graceful and kind and loving, you know, and in a way that is more in tune with that feminine, nurturing, loving side that we, as women, we naturally have. So, you know, I think that that's really important. It's something that has been coming up in society right now, and I'm noticing that more and more. And I think that that's really special that women can do both. You know, we are very special creatures. Like we are the givers of life. You know, at the end of the day, we have so much capacity as women. We're insanely intuitive, and we're so in tune with who we are. And we have the ability to inspire, you know, so much, both other men and other women. Like we really can do it all. We really can. And I think that's really badass.
And I love that you touched upon like the feminine and masculine. Like I feel like I grew up like really being in my masculine and having like to work hard and do the right thing and get the good grades and get the degree and get this and get that. And it's like, how do you begin to balance like both of those things?
Yes, it's really hard. And I relate to that because growing up, I was also such an overachiever, you know?
Exactly.
And it was right. And it was always about the next goal, the next step, the next mountain to climb, you know? And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think it's really important that we do have that mindset, especially as entrepreneurs in this field. If you don't have a masculine mindset, then you'll get eaten alive. You know what I mean? You won't get far. You really won't get far. And I've noticed that more and more in my own like business with my own clientele. And how I'm building my brand is I have to also be willing to be a go-getter, to be ambitious, to be on my A game, because I won't get far and I won't really reach my goals if I don't do that. But I think there's also a balance between doing that, but then stepping back and allowing yourself to receive, you know, allowing that surrender, that trust of I'm doing what I can to like get this next goal, to manifest this certain amount of money, to manifest a certain position or even a certain relationship or whatever is in your life at the moment that you want, but also stepping back and saying, if I get it, that's amazing. And if I don't get it, that's okay too. That doesn't diminish my worth. You know, it doesn't diminish who I am and how I show up. I'm still just as worthy and just as special. This might just not be for me, or it might be for me later on. I might not be ready to receive that, you know? So that's important, you know? And I think that's the balance between the two of the masculine and the feminine is knowing when to achieve and when to go for something, but also knowing when to hold back and wait and receive. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like you're like, where have you been all my life?
You're so amazing. I literally found you and I'm like, I must speak to her. Our souls knew.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like this is so good. And I know people will want to like hear more about you. And I know you have a podcast too. Like talk to us more about that.
Yes, for sure, love. So it's currently in the rebranding phase right now. I'm like, I've taken a little bit of a break from putting out episodes. But it's called Humanity Feels. And it's all about personal development and relationships and just like real world issues and problems that, we don't talk about, or maybe taboo topics that are difficult to speak about, to dive deep into. And I've always wanted to start a podcast because, just like you said, I think it's really therapeutic to be able to learn from other people, and storytelling is such a beautiful place, and ability to be able to share stories is really healing. So I always wanted to do one. I've been wanting to do it for years, and then I finally, had the guts to go for it. And I was realizing that I was holding myself back because I was afraid of what will people think? Speaking is scary. Like, I had all these limiting beliefs of like, if I say the wrong thing, people won't like me, or I'm afraid of, causing issues, or like bringing up really dark taboo topics or uncomfortable things, that people might be uncomfortable with. But at the end of the day, that's how we heal. If we don't address these things straight on, and we keep like hiding it and repressing it, it's only going to bite us in the ass in the future, so we might as well face it when we can. And we might as well do it with a community. I think that's even better, honestly. You're not alone in the journey. Like, we're all going through our own stuff, and we can all relate to one common thing. And that thing is our emotions. We all have and experience the same exact emotions. It just plays out in different ways and different levels of intensity. But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, we all come from the same source. We all experience the same things, Our stories and paths are just different. But I realized that that's what I wanted. I wanted to create a community where no one would feel alone, and people could talk about things like, the dark night of the soul. That's one of the topics I touch on in Humanity Feels, because I've gone through more than one. And I know a lot of people who have gone through it that have experienced like really hard, difficult hardships, and it's an intense experience. And I know that people struggle with that, and it feels very lonely. But when you listen to someone else's story of how they got through it, or how they've experienced it, or what they felt, then it's so much more healing. And I've noticed people feel so much better listening to that and holding on to that hope of like, I will get out of this, or whatever I'm dealing with right now is not forever,
Yeah. Girl, I could listen to you all day.
You're amazing. I'm so glad. That makes me so happy.
Amazing. So, do you have, any last piece of wisdom that you'd like to share with the audience today?
I think it would just be to, not be afraid to look at parts of yourself that might be a little bit scary. Because I think one of the major themes that I experience in my coaching biz right now with my clients, and just in general from speaking to friends and family, is people are going through a lot of hardship right now, and it's a complicated time to be alive, for sure. But like, at the end of the day, this is what makes you stronger, is going through these obstacles and facing it head on, and facing our fears, and really being able to be there for one another in community. So not being afraid to dive into your own darkness, to face your own stuff, and to make changes, like really do it in a way that feels right to you, and doing it in baby steps. I think that's really healing, and it's what I'm experiencing right now myself through the changes I'm going through, and it's what I can offer other people as well.
I love it. Well, thank you so much again for being here today. Like, honestly, like, you are shining, and I just love meeting you and talking to you so much. And I know people will want to follow you, so let us know like where we can go to connect with you online.
Yes, thank you so much, my love. So on Instagram, I'm at Yasmin Elzomor. And like I said, I'm currently redoing my site, but eventually that'll be up and running, and that's going to be yasminelzomor.com. But anyone can just connect with me on Instagram. If anyone's interested in listening to the podcast, that's Humanity Feels. And I'm probably going to come out with more episodes in the coming months. So stay tuned for that. But for now, that's what I got.
Amazing. Well, thank you again. And we'll for sure stay in touch, girl.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, beautiful. I appreciate you. This was amazing.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Powerful Female Leaders podcast. If you love this episode, make sure to spread the message, leave a review, and subscribe. I would forever be grateful for you. I also want to hear from you, and I want to know your feedback and your questions for future episodes. So don't be shy, say hi, and send me a message at Powerful Female Leaders Podcast on Instagram. Until then, I'll see you on the next episode.